Reza Omar from Citizen Survey joins us to discuss this matter. Reza, thanks a lot for joining us on Newsnight this evening. Now, first of all, 27% of adults saying the country has been heading in the right direction means that a whole lot of people do not believe that South Africa is indeed heading in the right direction. So take us through the survey.
That is correct. 27% believe the country is heading in the right direction. Two-thirds of South African adults believe that the country is heading in the wrong direction.
And then with regards to those two-thirds, I mean, the sample size that was utilized, how many people were actually probed or surveyed to actually determine these findings? Because this is alarming. I think they're saying that 60% of South Africans believe the country is heading in the wrong direction. How many people were surveyed in this?
Well, we've been measuring this for nearly 2 decades, and the results you are seeing now is based on a sample nationally representative of 3,900 adults. However, looking at this in its historical perspective, we can see in 2010, 60% of South Africans believed that the country was heading in the right direction. And this dropped in 2014 down to just under half. And we continue to track this in the South African Citizen Survey. And what we observed was there were 2 seminal events that affected the direction of the country. The first one happened in Q3 of 2016, when we became aware of the Gupta involvement in state capture. The direction of the country, people believing that the country was heading in the right direction, dropped from 38% to 29%. The next seminal event happened in Q2 of 2017, where the right direction dropped to 19%. Historically speaking, this was the lowest it had ever been in our new democracy. It recovered somewhat with the coming into power of President Ramaphosa, and it peaked out at the height of Ramaphosa at 37%. And now, as the economy headed into recession in Q3, it dropped down to 26% and now 27%.
This 27%, is that indicative of the fact that clearly, number one, Ramaphosa is over, but number two, South Africans want to see actual tangible results, and one such in question is that issue of the power utility Eskom. I mean, already we've seen that stage 2 load shedding has been implemented, and you can imagine that South Africans are not necessarily very Ramaphobic if they do not have power.
That is correct. Electricity supply is definitely one of the top issues facing South Africans, one of the most important problems. However, there are other important problems. The most important problem facing South Africans is unemployment. 26.2 million South Africans believe unemployment to be the most important problem. The second highest problem is crime, followed by corruption, followed by poverty and destitution. Electricity supply is definitely going to adversely impact the economy and will have its effect on employment.
And then to pick these numbers up, Reza, just to, I mean, the survey, I mean, I understand the sample size is about 3,900 South Africans, and I can take it that it's from all provinces so that you can get an accurate reading of what's happening in all provinces. What would it take for these numbers to actually rise again? I mean, and particularly taking into consideration that we're at election season, right? In May, the 8th of May, we're expecting South Africans to go to the ballot paper and actually vote for a political party of choice. But with these results currently, that means that we've got a lot of pessimistic South Africans, or South Africans that feel quite despondent at this time.
Well, it is useful in that light to look at the presidential job approval rating. And at present, President Ramaphosa has a job approval rating of 60%. But then again, it is again useful to look at it in its historical context. In 2010, then President Zuma had an approval rating of nearly 70%. It went on the decline, and at the time of the 2014 general election, just under half of South Africans gave him the thumbs up. His presidential job approval rating continued to slip, and the most critical moment in his presidency happened in Q2 of 2017, with the Midnight Massacre. That was the sacking of then Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan, at which point his approval rating dropped to 24%. It never really recovered, and at the time of Zuma's resignation, his job approval rating was 22%. The next month, when President Ramaphosa comes into power, his job approval rating of the presidency is 64%. At the height of Ramaphosa, his approval rating is at 68%. Coming off that high, it is now at 60%. So when we look at President Ramaphosa in relation to President Zuma, the differential is plus 38% in President Ramaphosa's favor.
Well, clearly the Ramaphosa then must continue, but not a lot of optimistic South Africans, one might say. 27% of citizens believe that the country is heading in the right direction. Riza Omar from Citizen Survey giving us that insightful reading in terms of exactly what you as South Africans are feeling and thinking, especially ahead of the election.